You know, when you walk down the aisle of a grocery store, there's just this illusion of permanence.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you see the neat rows of milk and the perfectly stacked cereal boxes and the seasonal coffee creamers. It all feels so highly curated, very settled, you know?
Yeah, it feels architectural. We are completely conditioned to assume there's this immovable, sprawling infrastructure behind every single packaged product we pass by.
Right.
Like it's governed by multi-year contracts and endless bureaucratic approvals.
Exactly. You look at those shelves and just assume someone in a corporate boardroom made a really slow, deliberate decision 3 or 4 years ago about exactly what should be sitting in that specific spot.
Which is usually how it works historically.
Usually, yeah. But what if I told you that the items you are looking at in your fridge right now might actually be moving at the speed of your TikTok feed?
It's a wild thought.
It really is. And today, our mission is to completely dismantle that illusion of the slow-moving grocery store. Okay, let's unpack this. We are dissecting a fascinating case study drawn from a recent, highly insightful article about a $500 million food brand.
And they're betting heavily on the latest, seemingly fleeting internet coffee craze.
The banana latte.
Right, the banana latte. And we need to emphasize for you, the listener, that this is far more than a story about a quirky new coffee flavor.
Yeah, for sure.
This is really a masterclass in modern consumer packaged goods, or CPG as we call it in the industry. It's a deep look into real-time data tracking and the compression of traditional agricultural supply chains.
And just the underlying hip-driven economics of food innovation today.
Exactly. In a hyper-connected era, things move fast.
So whether you are tracking market trends for an upcoming strategy meeting, or you just want to know how that strange new flavor materialized at your local supermarket, this deep dive is going to reveal the hidden machinery behind the items in your grocery cart.
It's really cool behind-the-scenes stuff.
It is. So the core of our source material today centers on Califia Farms. They're an enormous plant-based brand, and we're looking at their sudden, all-in operational pivot to bananas.
Which sounds totally counterintuitive at first glance.
Right. Why bananas?
Well, the underlying mechanics of how this physical product came to exist are incredibly sophisticated. We are examining a brand that surpassed $500 million in annual revenue last year.
$500 million.
$500 million. And they made a high-stakes executive decision to launch 2 entirely new banana-flavored SKUs.
And those are a ready-to-drink banana creme almond milk latte and an organic banana creme almond milk coffee creamer.
Both of which are hitting shelves with a suggested retail price of $6.49.
Okay, but before we get to the physical shelf, we have to start with the digital screen, right? Because that is where this entire operation was born.
Right, the social media spark.
Exactly. So consumers on platforms like TikTok and Instagram started taking banana puree and just pouring it over cold foam or whisked matcha.
Just making it at home.
Yeah, they were just DIYing this unusual concoction in their kitchens. And the search data behind this behavior is staggering. The article notes that queries for banana bread lattes spiked 36% year over year.
Which is a solid bump, but the data for banana matcha lattes surged even higher.
How much higher?
It registered an unprecedented 78% increase over the last 12 months.
Oh, wow. 78%.
Yeah, it's a massive signal.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. You have Suzanne Ginistro, the chief marketing officer at Califia Farms, and she has this 30-person marketing team.
Right.
And the way our source describes their operation, it feels less like traditional food marketing and more like, I don't know, digital meteorology. They are tracking a social media storm.
That's a great way to put it.
But seeing a 78% spike in search traffic isn't enough to halt a factory line, is it?
No, definitely not. What's fascinating here is the dual-pronged approach to their data collection. It's about the specific mechanism of how they actually validate a trend. Because in the traditional CPG model, a company would see that digital spike and they'd commission a focus group.
Which takes forever.
Exactly. They would recruit participants, sit them in a room, hand out flavor prototypes, and then wait 3 months for a formalized report.
And by the time that report is printed, the internet has completely moved on.
The trend is dead. Someone is on to the next viral thing.
So they bypassed the focus groups entirely.
They did?
Instead, they took that digital search velocity and cross-referenced it with physical, real-world chatter. Because Califia Farms already possesses an incredibly vast network of 15,000 coffee shops that carry their brand.
Which is a huge asset. That physical point-of-sale network becomes a real-time validation tool.
So they just ask the coffee shops?
Basically, yeah. They started monitoring feedback from those local baristas.
Yeah.
Customers were walking into physical brick-and-mortar stores and actively asking for banana flavor profiles in their morning coffee.
That is wild.
Right. So by triangulating the ethereal digital data, the TikTok searches with a tangible retail demand at the barista counter, a multinational company actually gains the empirical evidence required to act.
It's not just a hunch anymore.
Exactly. That triangulation upgrades the phenomenon from a fleeting internet fad to a verified consumer demand. Ginestro even went on record predicting this banana trend is going to be the next lavender.
The next lavender. I mean, that is a monumental statement in the beverage industry.
Huge. Lavender was everywhere.
But okay, identifying a valid trend is only step one. Knowing what people want and actually giving it to them requires physical manufacturing.
The hard part.
Right. Because if you spot a trend in July and your product hits the shelf in December, the cultural zeitgeist has already shifted to, like, sparkling mushroom water or something.
Exactly. Speed becomes the only metric that matters. This shifts our narrative from data analysis to sheer operational compression.
Let's break down that compression, because the timeline is definitely the most shocking part of the source material.
It's incredibly fast.
So Califia Farms is based in Los Angeles, founded back in 2010 by serial entrepreneur Greg Steltenpole.
Right.
They have a sprawling, established infrastructure. The industry standard for a company of this magnitude to formulate, manufacture, and package new products is typically 9 to 12 months.
Yeah, and the mechanics of that 12-month cycle are rigid for a reason.
Like what?
Well, first you have to lock in the formulation. Then you have to secure industrial-scale contracts for organic ingredients.
You can't just run to the store.
No, you cannot just buy 50 tons of organic banana puree on a whim.
Right.
Then there is shelf stability testing.
Which is what exactly?
That's where a company literally produces the beverage and lets it sit in a warehouse for months to ensure it doesn't curdle or spoil or change color.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And finally, you have to book factory line time, which is usually scheduled quarters in advance.
But for these two new banana products, they slash that entire timeline down to just 6 months.
Cut it right in half.
A 6-month sprint from identifying a TikTok trend to physically shipping pallets of creamer to grocery distributors.
It's unheard of for a company that size.
Hold on, though. I have to ask. A 6-month sprint sounds great for a nimble tech startup pushing software updates, right?
Sure.
But this is a $500 million company dealing with physical agriculture. Isn't that speed inherently reckless?
It definitely sounds like it.
I mean, upending an established supply chain in 6 months sounds like trying to change the tires on a freight train while it's moving. You have rigid contracts for almonds and packaging, and suddenly you're demanding that farmers and factories pivot to banana puree.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see that the company had actually already engineered their supply chain to handle that exact friction.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't just wake up one day and decide to break all their own rules for a banana latte. The traditional, slow-moving CPG model is becoming functionally obsolete. Ginestro explicitly noted that when you are tracking coffee shop favorites, speed is survival. If you cannot compress your supply chain, you simply miss the commercial window.
So they had been building this agile infrastructure behind the scenes for a while.
Right, precisely. They pre-warmed this capability. Califia Farms successfully stress-tested this fast-tracked 6-month playbook earlier in 2024.
Oh, so this wasn't their first rodeo.
No. They utilized it to launch a sweet cream flavor and, more importantly, a lavender flavor.
Oh, the lavender.
Yes. They proved internally that they could parallel path their operations. They learned how to design packaging and book speculative factory line time while the shelf stability testing was still ongoing.
Wow. So they were doing things concurrently that usually happen sequentially.
Exactly. So by the time the banana data spiked, the corporate muscle memory for a 6-month sprint was already highly developed.
Okay, that makes it seem a lot less reckless. But having a hyper-agile supply chain still leaves a critical question for me.
Which is?
Why unleash that formidable infrastructure on the banana?
It's a fair point.
The internet produces wild, unhinged food trends constantly. I mean, people post viral videos pouring espresso over ice cream inside hollowed-out bell peppers.
Oh, I've seen that.
Right. What made this specific yellow fruit the chosen catalyst to disrupt their entire manufacturing calendar?
This raises an important question about the deep psychology of mass-market consumer behavior.
Let's hear it.
True innovation requires walking a tightrope between absolute novelty and comforting safety.
And the source material provides fantastic context for this balance, actually. The banana boom isn't an isolated incident with just one brand.
Not at all.
The article highlights the recent Summer Fancy Food Show, which is this sprawling, vital industry event where retail buyers scout the next year's trends.
It's a huge deal in the food world.
And bananas were the undeniable main character of the convention. They appeared in milk, baked loaves, protein powders, chips, granola, and even infused water.
Banana-infused water.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for you, the person trying to navigate your local supermarket? The article draws a brilliant contrast that really illustrates the psychological tightrope you mentioned.
The beef tallow comparison.
Yes. It mentions other current viral trends, specifically these MAA beloved ingredients.
Right, MAHA standing for Make America Healthy Again.
Exactly. And just reporting impartially on the source here, things like beef tallow are having a massive moment online right now in those circles.
They really are.
But think about the underlying mechanism of that trend. Asking the average grocery shopper to put beef fat into their morning coffee creates intense cognitive friction.
Oh, absolutely.
It triggers a natural hesitation, perhaps even a disgust response. It is a highly specific, intimidating leap.
Now, contrast that profound cognitive friction with a banana.
Night and day.
The statistical reality is illuminating here. According to the International Fresh Produce Association, 83% of households bought bananas last year.
83%.
Is the second most popular fresh fruit in the country, trailing only berries.
So it is deeply, deeply embedded in the American kitchen.
The psychology here is brilliant because the innovation isn't the flavor itself.
Right.
The innovation is entirely in the application of the flavor.
I see.
They are taking an ingredient that 83% of households already purchase, they trust it, and they mentally categorize it as safe.
Yeah.
And they are anchoring it to a disruptive new behavior, the morning coffee ritual.
Ginestro summarized this perfectly in the article. She stated, quote, "It's not some newfangled thing. It's pretty all-American and pretty mainstream."
It's the ultimate safe craze.
Yeah, the trend feels edgy and modern because it originated on TikTok, but the ingredient totally bypasses your psychological defense mechanisms because you've been eating it since childhood.
Exactly.
And that anchoring is what gives a corporate marketing team the confidence to bypass focus groups.
Right, they don't need to ask if people like bananas.
No. They are fundamentally betting that banana can transcend the viral news cycle and establish itself as a permanent staple in the coffee category.
Much like vanilla or hazelnut.
But, okay, having a brilliantly timed product backed by sophisticated consumer psychology and a compressed supply chain, that means absolutely nothing if you cannot physically deliver it to the end consumer.
Delivery is everything. We really have to examine the ultimate unforgiving test in the food industry.
Retail distribution.
Yes.
How do you convince a highly skeptical, notoriously risk-averse grocery buyer at a major chain to give up their incredibly precious shelf space for an internet experiment?
It's tough. You have to understand the fundamental mechanics of how shelf space is allocated. Retail buyers are not just stocking shelves.
What are they doing?
They're managing real estate. Every inch of that shelf needs to generate a specific dollar amount per week.
Which brings us to the actual physical launch of this $6.49 leap of faith.
Right.
The distribution strategy detailed in the article is staggering in its scale. The new banana creamer is launching in around 7,000 stores simultaneously.
That's a massive rollout.
We are talking about major players: Kroger, Albertsons, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Publix, and Walmart. And the ready-to-drink latte will hit about 4,000 stores, including Kroger, Sprouts, and Whole Foods.
It's a huge push.
I look at those numbers, and the sheer scale seems almost impossible. Securing a national rollout at Walmart and Whole Foods at the exact same time is notoriously difficult.
Usually.
These buyers usually demand a year of regional sales data to prove a product won't just sit there gathering dust.
They want a proven track record.
Exactly. So how does a company justify taking a leap this big, and how do they convince major retail gatekeepers to come along for the ride without that historical sales data?
It really comes down to the underlying mechanism of hit-driven economics.
Okay, unpack that.
Well, Ginestro openly admits in the source material that innovation is a leap of faith. In the CPG industry, the baseline reality is that the vast majority of new product innovations will fail.
Most of them fail.
Yes, the failure rate is incredibly high.
And why not just play it safe? Why not just keep optimizing the supply chain for the vanilla creamer and the oat milk that are already generating $500 million?
Because stagnation in CPG is a slow death.
Really?
The risk is a mandatory mechanism for growth. The financial model operates very much like a venture capital firm or a major Hollywood studio.
Like I'm making movies.
Exactly.
Huh.
A studio expects 7 out of 10 movies to lose money, but the 3 that become global blockbusters pay for all the failures and fund the studio for the next decade.
So the math dictates the risk.
Yes.
You are willing to absorb the cost of a failed launch because if the banana latte actually succeeds, you have captured an entirely new, freely lucrative consumer habit.
You own the banana coffee market.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
And the buyers at Kroger, Publix, Walmart, and Whole Foods operate on the exact same hit-driven mathematical model.
They do. They intentionally allocate a specific percentage of their shelf space to high-risk, high-reward trend items.
Just to see what sticks.
Right. And furthermore, they agreed to stock this product in thousands of locations because they were presented with that same dual-pronged data we discussed earlier.
The search data and the coffee shop data.
Yes. They saw the 78% search spike, and they saw the real-world validation from 15,000 coffee shops.
Ah.
The retail gatekeepers are willing to share the financial risk of this leap of faith because they recognize the exact same cultural momentum that the brand saw.
It is a remarkable sequence of events to wrap our heads around. Just to recap the sheer velocity of the journey we've explored today.
It's a fast ride.
A few isolated consumers decide to pour banana puree into their iced matcha on social media.
Right.
That microtrend triggers a 78% spike in digital search data.
Huge spike.
A 30-person team of digital meteorologists spots the anomaly, validates it through the cash registers of 15,000 physical coffee shops, and convinces a $500 million corporation to bypass focus groups entirely.
Which is unprecedented.
They leverage a pre-warmed, hyper-agile supply chain to slash their manufacturing timeline in half. And just 6 months later, 7,000 grocery stores are clearing their highly guarded shelf real estate for a brand new product.
It is the absolute seamless synchronization of internet culture and physical logistics.
It really is.
It fundamentally changes how you should view the physical items in your local store.
It does for me.
The next time you are pushing a cart down a grocery aisle and you spot a quirky, highly specific new flavor profile, remember the hidden machinery we unpacked today.
Yeah.
You aren't just looking at a simple beverage or a random corporate guess. You are looking at a highly coordinated, data-driven operation designed to capture a cultural wave in real time.
You are looking at the physical manifestation of a digital moment.
Well said.
Which brings us right back to the idea we started with. We discussed the illusion of permanence in the grocery store.
The architectural feel.
Right. The comforting feeling that the shelves are immovable, deliberate, and slow. But if multinational food companies have successfully re-engineered their agricultural supply chains to match the breakneck speed of a TikTok trend,
It makes you wonder.
will our physical grocery store shelves eventually become just as chaotic, algorithm-driven, and fleeting as our social media feeds?
That's a fascinating thought.
What happens to our underlying food culture when the physical products we ingest become just as disposable as a 15-second video? Something for you to chew on or perhaps sip on the next time you reach for your morning coffee. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.